Instagram and YouTube. Welcome to week 3 of Calibration Coaching Live. This is here to prepare you to grow your brand visibility, to be expanding in your brand identity and brand leadership, and prepare you for your next level of receiving in your sales and launching. It's about identity capacity so that you can have nervous system regulation and create consistent momentum and visibility. And today we're going to be talking about the hidden self-sabotage pattern at the next level. We often talk about how you can have self-sabotage for starting things, for showing up initially, but I want to talk about how self-sabotage starts to show up when things start to get good. And this is for you if you are in the beginning years of building your brand and your business, and this is also for you if you are literally 10 plus years into your business, because these are some hidden identity and nervous system dysregulation and identity collapsing patterns that a lot of us are not only not aware of, but are secretly running the show and keeping us from growing our visibility and stepping into our full power in our brands. We don't even know what's happening. It's an unconscious pattern, and it could be secretly running the show and keeping you from your greatness. And so this is a lot of the unspoken edge that I support you with inside Visionary Haus Coaching and Identity Calibration membership for visionary and multi-passionate entrepreneurs. That is my coaching and mentoring membership, which is going to be doing its grand opening this coming Monday, the 3rd week of February here. So right now this week it is on waitlist presale. It's going to be opening up Monday to the public. I am so excited for you because this is the space where you can consistently lean into to gain this kind of calibration support, redirection support, so you're operating with self-discernment like a strategic CEO and equally adopting the Wealthy Visionary method, which allows you to be more profitable and strategic with a multi-passionate visionary personal brand business model. Another quick intro, if you're new here, if you're just joining me live for the first time, first things first, if you want to be catching this replay on YouTube, I put all of my live replays on YouTube, so I'm double filming, so I'm going to be looking both places. And 2, if you're not on the Wealthy Visionary email newsletter list, I send little text replays of the live, which reminds me I need to film the voice memo. Okay, very good. So, let me get my notes split here. I love using an iPad for going live because I can be doing 2 things at once. Let's see. Whoops. Give me just a moment here. All right, so the live will also be cross-recorded on YouTube, and you can sign up for my email newsletter list to get the text report. So we're going to be talking about the hidden self-sabotaging pattern at the next level. And if you're new here, really quick intro about me. My name is Kate Visser. It is Kate, not Kat. And I am a mentor and a coach for visionary, multi-passionate, and ambitious ADHD entrepreneurs who want to be building profitably positioned personal brands and scalable business models that house all their multi-passions and their visionary ideas. And my clients come to me because they are highly ambitious, but they're also very visionary. They're very multi-passionate. They're very expansive. They're also often neurodivergent, and they need a business model and a brand that feels like them and they actually enjoy running and being. But still, they want things to be profitable, they want them to be sustainable, and they want to have scalability. You don't just want to have a personal brand that's just random interests and you can't scale it and it has no profitability factors, and you also don't just want to be a niche expert. You want to have your cake and eat it too, and that's exactly what I help you with. We help you with your brand embodiment, strategic mastery, and consistent mindset work inside of Visionary Haus membership. And then we help you with your brand strategy, like the entire brand strategy and messaging strategy that you need to build a profitably positioned personal brand. Inside a personal brand powerhouse, you build a powerhouse brand, not just a personal brand, not a niche brand, really becoming a powerhouse, building a movement. And then I have other offers rolling out this year, but those are the two main ways to work with me right now. You can always check out all of my digital products as well, and my intensives that are available in my Stan store if you want to jump in and work with me right away. So let's talk about this a little bit today, because this is a hidden pattern, like I said, that can be unconsciously running the show and you may not even know it. And a lot of times it doesn't show up until years into your business, or sometimes until things start to get really good. Because this is an edge, this is a reality that I have experienced as an entrepreneur of over 10 years. This is my 8th year as business coach. And what I want to tell you is, even when you have a lot of experience in your business, sometimes you don't realize that you will face this pattern or that it's even happening. So if you're kind of familiar with my story the past few years in my business, I've been slowly rolling out a rebrand because I grew my business in kind of a safe, hyper-niched way, but was unconsciously like self-sabotaging, slowing myself down, coloring outside of the lines, kind of had scattered messaging and was launching offers that were kind of left field and wasn't accepting that I was visionary and multi-passionate. But it wasn't until years into my business when things started to get good and when I started to make more sales, I started to realize, oh, I actually don't want to continue to scale this way. It's almost like we have to wait to make the money and feel accepted and feel approved of in order for us to actually do what we really want. But that's the trap, is you actually get to decide that you're going to be who you want to be, and you're going to build the big vision how you actually want to build it, and you're going to build your dream brand and business now. You don't have to wait for approval, because waiting for this false approval and false safety isn't actually safe at all. That safety never actually even comes. And it's actually up to you to decide that and make it safe for you to be fully seen. And this is such a big hurdle that multi-passionate visionaries face, especially with ADHD and rejection sensitivity. I was just talking about this on TikTok today. Rejection sensitivity and like the fear of showing up and being seen, especially when you're like launching. Such a big hurdle that unconsciously can slow us down and self-sabotage us. And the thing is that a lot of us feel wrong or bad for experiencing that rejection sensitivity or that shame or that fear, that dysregulation. But you just have to know that you're not wrong or bad for feeling it. You just have to know that it's happening. And once you can become more self-aware, you can start to take more power and control back over your mind, your patterns. And then that's what starts to give you power over your identity again. That's where you start to see that you are the conductor of your story and of your brand, because you can dictate how you're feeling, how you're perceiving yourself, then how you're perceiving the world, and then you can move through the world and your business quicker and with more energetic attunement and focus, and actually be available to build the vision how you want to build it. Because what we want to avoid is not only just not building things in a way that's going to be sustainable or scalable longer term, but we want to avoid these constant patterns of identity collapsing and lack of self-trust. Because the thing is that we don't necessarily just create self-sabotage years into our business because we're like messy or disorganized. You can have some symptoms of that, of like lacking discipline in certain areas because of like ADHD and stuff. But I find that a lot of times we're struggling with these self-sabotaging patterns or seasons or whatever, not even so much because we lack discipline, it's because we lack identity safety. It's because we're so dysregulated. It's because we're experiencing shame for what we're feeling. And then because you're not accepting it or making space for it, then it's never dealt with. Then you try to force yourself to operate in a way that's not sustainable for you, or you are, overpacking your week, not giving yourself enough time to regulate. You are trying to force yourself to become visible, but you don't have a clear messaging or content strategy. And so that's, of course, why it feels so stressful to show up more in your social media. Because this girl over here told her audience that she never plans her content, so I should be more like her. And that would mean I trust myself, so I'm going to try to do work for this person. Yet when I show up to create my content, I feel completely discombobulated and end up talking about random shit and then wonder why I'm not making sales. You need to build your brand and your business in a way that works for you. It's okay if it looks a little different. And you need to realize that you are the conductor of the vision. You're not just a service provider. You're not just a creator. You are here to be the visionary and the conductor and executor of this vision. That is your biggest and most important role. Starting to operate like the wealthy visionary, start to actually take executive control and action, and not always being reactive. But that can't happen. That cannot happen unless you start to become aware of where these self-sabotaging patterns are showing up and how your identity is collapsing. Like how you start to doubt yourself, how you start to hide yourself, how you start to fluctuate in the way you're speaking and showing up, and you're trying to be like other people. And you're not staying potent in your brand, persona, voice, message, story. Right? There's so many different things that we have to master in our content strategy, in our launching, in our selling. And so if you aren't just really fucking rooted in who you are, in your truth, in your vision, in your message, and knowing how to lead your brand, just trying to master all the little things can totally feel very overwhelming. It can slowly start to self-sabotage everything that you've built because you're trying to get it just right. And now if you're coming into the game with layers of unmet, not only trauma, but like identity wounds, lack of self-permission, and lack of self-responsibility, there's going to be a little chaos goblin that's going to slowly start to eat away at your dream from the inside out. It's going to rot your business. And I'm not saying this in a fear-mongering way. I'm saying this from a mentor with a lot of experience and who's seen this. But I also want to gift you some dopamine direction today and tell you that it doesn't have to be this way. If it continues to go this way, if you continue to self-sabotage unconsciously and not operate like the wealthy visionary and not operate like the conductor of your brand and keep acting reactively to everything, if you don't change these patterns, you will not grow. Visibility will crumble you. Making the sales won't make you feel safer. And you have to choose that. But I also want to give you a dopamine direction and some hope today that it is a pattern that you get to break, and it is something that only you are in control of, but that's good news because it means that you get to take control of it right away today. And we get to get back in touch with our power really quickly. And the closer we can, the sooner we can recognize that we are that close to regaining our power, taking back over our autonomy, over our brand, our business, and our own bodies, experiencing, like, that's so powerful and that's so empowering. Because oftentimes it feels like everything is outside of us, right? I've got to learn more. I've got to be like these people. I've got to be just right. I've got to bring in more visibility. I've got to bring in more sales. And obviously, there are some things we have to work on. We have to grow our visibility. We've got to get leads. We have to have marketing momentum. Of course, there are tangible, real stepping stones that we need to be building to build momentum. But what about the energetic momentum? What about the identity momentum? that's the unspoken edge that keeps collapsing so many of us. Like, you could be the smartest, most capable person in the room, but never make it because of how you are choosing to see yourself. And then that is dictating how your mind is perceiving yourself in the world and its worldview. Because you've probably learned by now that the people who make it, the people who get paid the most, are the people with the most audacity and conviction and show up the most consistently and who are taking shots. They're not always the most talented. I think that's sometimes why you see younger people making it more, or a lot of people that are like Gen Z generation, for example, doing really well on like high visibility social media platforms like TikTok. Not even just because they know more, but it's honestly a little bit of a game of naivete. Being a little bit, inexperienced or naive in some ways is good because you're not overanalyzing yourself. They're not traumatized yet. So I know this to be a true fact, far too many, like, overqualified experts and just visionaries with so much power and potential and talent go the most underpaid and underdiscovered because you're lacking the self-permission. You're lacking identity safety. You are unconscious of the nervous system patterns that are happening beneath the surface. You're not meeting them. You're not making space for them. You're not operating in a wealthy visionary way. You're operating in a wounded visionary way. So they go unsupported. And then you gaslight yourself and then wonder, how did I end up here again? Why am I burnt out? Why is my business not profitable? Why do I hate the way I built it? Why do I feel like I have to rebrand again? And that is a self-responsibility journey. And you will continue in that pattern until you are willing to meet it and face yourself. This is not an easy journey, right? If building a really wealthy magnetic brand movement was really easy, more people would be doing it. But also at the same time, it is easy. Growing your brand, making a lot of money is easy. We're just so fucking addicted to our pain and our trauma stories and our lack identities. Because your brain is wired for safety, not for growth and expansion. But once you realize that, you just get to go, oh, I am not building a brand and a business in the way that will actually work for me or that I like, just because it's thinking if I do it that way, it won't be safe or it won't be profitable. And maybe you've lacked representation so far of how it can work for you, right? That's why Bad Bunny's performance in the Super Bowl was, not only was it extremely well done and he's so talented, I love Bad Bunny, but it was so powerful because it exemplified and resembled representation that we're missing of culture and diversity, of talent that can look different, that comes from other cultures. There is not enough representation of other people making it, divergent creators, right? And the same thing is true for visionary, multi-passionate, and ADHD entrepreneurs and creators, is far too many of us think that we're wrong, we're bad, we're too much, we're not enough, whatever. You're just missing representation. It doesn't mean that success can't exist for you. You just haven't found identity, safety, or self-permission yet because you're waiting to see it. But there's not a lot of representation. Because, well, a lot of people with ADHD are stuck in their own self-sabotaging patterns, and unfortunately, a lot of us don't ever make it to growing our brands, to building scalable businesses. But that doesn't have to be your story. Like, I've said that being visionary and being multi-passionate is often a symptom of ADHD. That's why I talk about ADHD so much. I'm an ADHD baddie. And a lot of my work is highly supportive for ADHD entrepreneurs. I do not directly say that I support ADHD. I'm not an ADHD business coach specifically. Like, I don't help you with all your ADHD symptoms or anything. It's just, I build my strategies and frameworks around it in a way that will work for you, right? So I'm not helping you learn like habit stacking and all of these little things. You can go work with a specifically ADHD coach for that. And I do highly recommend that. But speaking of ADHD, where am I going with that? What was I saying? I think essentially I was saying that you just lack representation. And I've had to learn how to make my business work for my ADHD, not just in a like self-management, holistic ADHD tools kind of way, but looking at what are the symptoms of ADHD in my business. It's being a dopamine fiend. It's needing new and novel ideas, fun experiences. I have to follow my dopamine direction. Like, it's just, it is what it is. It's just gonna be part of my life. But how can I build my business in a way that allows me to do that and pursue that to where it's not just a chaotic, creative, crazy mess of random ideas, right? So like in my membership, for example, that's part of the reason why I have my membership. And my membership is not just a random collection of random things I am interested in. It's not a dopamine foraging playground. In a way it is. But it's structured strategically with an identity movement, with core themes, core organized training groups that make up a whole of a vision, of a mission that gives me room to serve on more of my multi-passions. Just for example, in business and offer structure. But just for example, a lot of us ADHD ambitious founders, CEOs, and creators, we wait until maybe you build your business, until you grow your brand the right way to feel safe enough to build an expansive offer like that. Maybe you want an offer model that feels more authentic to you, that gives you more room for your multi-passions. Maybe you just even want to broaden your brand. I'm seeing a lot of niche expert creators and coaches do this right now, who have maybe had very hyper niche, very professional facing brands, who are now, they're having to innovate with AI, but they're recognizing that having a personal brand is a strong suit. And so they're trying to find ways to be personal brand facing while still managing and maintaining their expertise and authority. And there are ways to do that. Like actually having a more personal brand and embracing more of your multi-passions can actually make you more money. It doesn't mean you're scattered or it's a neglection? It's neglecting focusing on authority, trust, and sales. It can actually welcome in more when it's done strategically. But that's the thing is, like, you don't have to wait for some imaginary someday of your ship's gonna come in and somebody, somewhere, something is gonna make you feel safe enough to be who you are and do what you actually want to do. You will absolutely regret building your business to a certain level of success and then realizing you fucking hate it and you need to burn it all down and you have to rebrand again. And then sometimes you have to, it's so new, it's such a pivot that it's like starting your business all over again. This is why in all of my trainings, my strategy frameworks, that I truly focus on setting you up for success from the start. And that's why it's so valuable to have me as a mentor, because I can see what you're going to do, what's going to happen 10 months down the line, 10 years down the line. I can already premeditate your patterns and habits, specifically as a multi-passionate visionary and ADHD entrepreneur and creator, because I know you, because I am you. And that kind of foresight is just absolutely invaluable. So not only do I bring you strategic tools and understandings and methods that work for you and enable brand profitability and business scalability, but I help you see your blind spots. And I help support them in a way that's going to work for you. That's why I'm so obsessed with Visionary House membership, that again is opening up here this coming Monday, the 3rd week of February. So make sure you're on the Wealthy Visionary newsletter list so you don't miss our launch, because there's going to be some special email list only launch bonuses. But that's why I'm so excited, because it's built that way. It's built for the ongoing CEO calibration. So there's one part of the membership is there is the Visionary Haus Radio CEO Calibration podcast. So it's like a mini podcast. Episodes are anywhere between like 5 to 20 minutes long. And they're like little on-the-go coaching sessions. It's not just like inspiring topics. It like actively walks you through specific moments or hurdles in your identity, in your nervous system, in your self-perception, in your growth, that keeps you from these exact collapsing moments of self-sabotage. And I cannot explain how invaluable that is. Like, if anything, join for the private podcast. Like, I would love to have you in my membership, even if you just become a fly on the wall and you just binge the trainings and the podcast. Even just do that. I would love to have you on the coaching calls too. And there's also monthly drop-in one-on-one coaching chat time, so you can gain direct feedback from me throughout the month. So there are drop-in office hours that are scheduled every single month, which I'm very excited for. But I'm so excited for the private podcast, Visionary Haus Radio, because it's going to be directly supporting you in these things. Like, I just recorded an episode and uploaded it, and it is talking about, like, what do you do when you're experiencing so much anxiety and overwhelm that, like, you feel disconnected from your vision, from your identity, and you're trying to figure out what all your feelings, emotions, and thoughts mean. And you have to learn how to untangle your emotions and get back into visionary CEO operator mode, so you can know what you've been taking in from social media, what's happened in your business, what you felt throughout the week, what you're observing and experiencing. What does it all mean? How do you actually organize it? And then get back into visionary CEO mode and take action again. Right? Because as you start to take more action, as you start to grow, as you start to expand your visibility, more emotions, more trauma layers, more identity wounds, it's going to come up, and it's going to come up faster. And we have to have tools, mentorship, and support in place so that you don't keep collapsing, so we prevent these sabotage patterns. Like, that's exactly what Visionary Haus is there for. It's for that ongoing, consistent calibration. And the longer you stay inside Visionary Haus, the longer you stay connected in my space, the further you will grow, the more you will stretch your capacity to receive, to show up, the more brand embodied and magnetic you will become. Like, it is a space meant for ongoing growth. It's not a space where you just drop into and grab a couple quick content scripts and create better content. This is a growth and calibration space for your ongoing growth and support. It's almost like a micro mind with a supportive course and podcast, if that makes sense. Friend, I could talk so much more about this, but I just want to remind you of your power today, that you can take your power back, that you are so powerful, and you don't have to stay in these stagnation loops, these identity collapses, and that you aren't wrong for being so multi-passionate. Your big visionary delusional ideas can actually come true. Your big ambition can be fulfilled. You can pursue your passion and your purpose to fulfill your profit and potential goals. But we have to identify the hidden self-sabotaging patterns and strengthen not only your brand strategy, but your identity strategy, so that you can use all the tools in your advantage. Because we want to enable your strategic action. We want to use everything that you've already learned about strategy, because a lot of it might already be really useful. You don't always need to learn more. And you may already have a lot of tools and support in terms of nervous system regulation, but you're missing this bridge in between of identity work, of operating like an embodied and strategic CEO, where it can take all that you know about strategy, everything that you know about health and regulation, and how can we merge it together to operating like a strategic, visionary, and embodied CEO. One that can hold and build the vision like a visionary and like a strategic conductor. Because you don't have to stay in a trapped healing season where you always have to stay perfectly calm, regulated, and you're stuck in a healing season. Because that can be a thing. And we don't want you over here where you're hyper strategic and you're pushing through your emotions so much that you're now suppressing them. What would it look like to actually trust yourself in between and bridge the two? And again, that's why I love Visionary House. That's why I love the way that I bring my work, because it takes an equally holistic and strategic approach. I am an absolute strategy genius. I am a planning and strategy genius. I do have ADHD, but I am probably one of the most strategic and disciplined people you will meet. I'm extremely organized, but that's because I finally learned how to trust myself, and I have a clear vision, and I know what my identity is, and I'm not constantly questioning myself and doubting myself, because that's what's tiring. That's what causes burnout. Not the effort itself. It's the constant questioning of yourself. It's constantly doubting everything that you're doing, constantly wondering if you belong. We can no longer entertain those kinds of conversations. You don't have time, nor can you afford to constantly be questioning yourself, rebranding, pivoting, stagnating, falling back into your healing era when actually it's avoidance, or overworking and overproving in your strategic era, but you're collapsing in your identity, and then you're gonna have to rebrand again. I know you. I know you. That's why I built Visionary House for you. It bridges this gap. It creates a safe space, safer space. I can't dictate fully what's a safe space for you, but safer space for you to grow and expand as a visionary, as a creator, as a CEO, and witness your self-trust being executed on in real time. Because that is what enables you to start selling. That's what enables you to stay in the game and start actually scaling. That's what enables you to start to focus on brand visibility and content strategy and marketing strategy on a whole new level. Because your brain, it cannot think fucking strategically if it's always dysregulated, if it's always questioning who you are. You do not have time for that anymore. I'm sorry. No more. Welcome to your wealthy visionary era. Come get inside Visionary House. So, like I said, if you love today's live, we expound on so much more of this inside Visionary House. It is going to be opening up here the third week of February to the public. Get on the Wealthy Visionary newsletter list, because there's going to be a special launch bonus just for waitlisters or my email list. And you can join for just $88 a month. It'll probably be going up later this year, but that is our launch special right now. So just $88 a month. And there's also going to be a pay in full yearly special bonus. So make sure you're on the email list, get on the email list. And then I also send out the YouTube report and the live. I do like copy breakdowns with like keynotes from each live on my email list as well from each live. So much goodness there on my email list. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for gifting yourself this time for your own expansion. And I promise, it's about to get so good for you. Please claim it, declare it. You are about to enter your wealthy visionary era, and it all starts with an identity and self-perception shift, and that's going to start to roll out into different action and moving differently and receiving differently. You hold so much power. I believe in you. Okay, Visionary, thank you for joining me, and I hope I get to see you on my email list and inside Visionary House. Bye.